4th century BC stated, "The direction in which education starts a man will determine his future in life." I believe this is true today, some 2,400 years later. The U.S. Census Bureau report titled "The Big Payoff: Educational Attainment and Synthetic Estimates of Work-Life Earnings" reveals that over an adult's working life, high school graduates can expect, on average, to earn about $1.2 million. Those with a bachelor's degree will earn $2.1 million, and those with a master's degree will earn $2.5 million. For example, in 1999, the average annual earnings ranged from $18,900 for high school dropouts to $25,900 for high school graduates, $45,400 for college graduates, and $99,300 for holders of professional degrees. Recent studies show that typical high school graduate will attain higher employment and earnings to the tune of 50 to 100% increase over the lifetime of those workers. And that those high school graduates will likely be less of a draw on the public money for health care and welfare, and less likely to be involved in criminal justice system. I was with President Toni Preckwinkle today, and she talked about the cost for incarceration, $143 a day, about $50,000 a year to incarcerate people. And most of those people in there are not high school graduates. Further, because of the increased income, a typical graduate will contribute more in tax revenues over his lifetime than if he were to have dropped out. When the cost of investment to produce graduates are taken into account, there is a return of anywhere from $1.45 to $3.55 for every dollar of educational investment, depending on the program. Under this new estimate, each new high school graduate would be a net benefit to the taxpayers of about $127,000. I'm a strong believer in the importance of schools to children, to the community, and to our nation. When I accepted this position to lead District 15, I did so knowing that the district has a long tradition of excellence in fulfilling this mission. I have continued to be impressed with the quality of staff, administrators, fantastic teachers, program assistants, and other support personnel. These are individuals that are responsible for the tradition of excellence the system enjoys today. Financial recommendations tonight are necessary to continue that tradition in the future. These recommendations involve some of those valued staff members perhaps not having jobs next year. These actions come with deep emotional angst. Individuals losing their income, benefits, and professional status is no light matter, and we've struggled with this and never forgotten that. So these recommendations tonight are cognizant that we're talking about people and important things. My first charge is to provide the best education for the children we serve. Therefore, the recommendations being brought to you tonight were created through an attempt to impact students in the least possible manner. Because we are subject to many limitations and only a few solutions, some of the recommendations tonight will affect students and classrooms. So let me begin the presentation tonight with the proposed first steps to solving our ongoing deficit problem by reviewing Mike's 5-year forecast. This on the screen up here now is his forecast for all the funds. Now it's too small for anybody to see, so I enlarged the bottom part. Hopefully you can see that. This slide shows what Mike showed you earlier in the meeting. It shows the anticipated revenues and expenditures for each of the 8 funds. At the bottom, it shows the net outcome for each year's fiscal activity. This magnification of the bottom of the slide showing the net outcome and fund balance. Just to review, if the district were to continue in the status quo with the same number of staff members, paying them the same amount of money, same class sizes, same programs, deficits would nearly deplete our fund balances in just 4 years. In 2016, we could have a tiny reserve that would cause major financial problems for the district. And I think Mike reiterated those earlier, that we wouldn't be able to pay bills, we'd be borrowing money and things like that. And you're aware as well that the board has 30% or greater of fund balances in relation to our total expenditures each year. State, as you know, recommends 25%. So this is not a very cheery forecast. Slide 4 is really the first steps in trying to solve the systemic financial problem. The administration created a list of possible budget reduction steps as a result of your charge to us and me to come back to you with approximately $9.6 million in reductions to balance the budget. The list that we created was shared with stakeholders in December. In January, we invited those stakeholders back again, asked for their comments on the possible solutions and the recommendation for any solutions that weren't on the list. Based upon that feedback that we received from those meetings and from emails, we've modified the original list and removed some of the items from that first list. On this first slide, you'll see that I'm going to go through them one by one just to help explain them a little bit. At the top, you can see that we have a $9.6 million projected deficit. We learned that we're going to get $177,000 more in transportation reimbursement, so that brings it down to 9.4. We anticipate each year that not every part of the budget will be spent. We probably spend 99 cents of every dollar. That 1% of our budget would represent a $1.5 million savings, unused funds, so that would reduce the deficit even more. We proposed eliminating paper copies for our newsletter. We're anticipating $150,000 in energy savings. Those are due to the installation of some new lights and some other measures that we're going to take to reduce our energy consumption. We took the line items that listed supplies, purchased services, and equipment and cut those by 5%. That was another $700,000 reduction. The principals were willing to give up their $1,000 that they get annually to join professional organizations, to buy books and do professional development. We are going to find some savings in transportation to the tune of $60,000 for this one particular item. Line 9, we had $91,000 listed for the reduction of the equivalent of one assistant principal, but because of the feedback that we received from several of our sessions, we realized that this is somewhat of a safety issue, and these are important positions, and so we took that off the list. Department of Instruction was able to find $50,000 in savings. Craig was able to find $156,000 in his department. Transportation and Maintenance both found that they could reduce a couple positions, $39,000 each. We're planning to close buildings for winter break and save about $10,000 in energy costs. Each year that Mike issues building-based budgets for principals and staffs in the school to use to operate the buildings throughout the year, we reduced that by $4 per each child. That got us another $48,000. And our senior exchange program that we really appreciate and value and gives a lot of time and meaning to the district, that's an area that we have control over, and regretfully that